Wah. Wah. I'm having a rough time. It's not good. Hi, Luke. 35 stream streak. Nice. I'm having a time. So I'm hoping that today's stream is gonna be kind of easy. Because I'm, like, not all here. Truly dissociating today. I have my first day of class for community college today. And I just, like, I have all of the, like, trauma from past school experiences pelting me in the face with emotions. So, yeah. It's, I feel a little crazy. Crazy. I was crazy once. They put me in a room. A rubber room with rats. The rats made me crazy. Yeah. So this is what we're doing. We're just updating emotes today because that's kind of what I have the energy for. Let me grab one of the ones that I've already updated. Grab this one. I just need to make sure my brush was the right size. School isn't fun, but hey, most people attending college are adults, such adults-ish. Should be more mature. That can make things a little more bearable. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the problems that I had with school was with the adults, so I have no idea. I have no idea. So, we'll see how things go. Like, I had problems with the kids, but I can mostly ignore them. Especially, like, in high school. I could mostly, like, ignore the annoying kids. But I couldn't ignore the teachers being annoying, so. You guys think I should put this emote in tier 1 subs so you guys can have it? Currently it's in like tier 3, I think. Or tier 2. Because I'm afraid. But nobody does that, so. Nobody does, like, the upper tiers because nobody can afford it. Which is fine, it's just a fact. Maybe I'll put this one in tier 1. I would like it, but I understand. I just don't want it to be used in a harmful way. Like, it's one thing to, like, use it to take the piss out of me, because, like, fair. But it's another thing to, like, be mean with it. But, like, I'm not big enough for people to be mean, you know? I'm not big enough for that to be a problem. So maybe I'll just give it to you guys as a tier 1 sub. It can't be a follower because like anyone can follow, but not everyone's gonna like spend money. So I think putting it in tier 1 is safe. Because I do want to see it more often. I love this little guy. The upper tiers are expensive. I would rather give support in some other way that Twitch doesn't take 50% of. Yeah, mean with it how? I don't know. Because it's, I don't know. Because I was a sensitive little baby when I implemented it, I guess. I don't know how someone could actually be mean with it, truly. It's just a little guy. It's just a little guy. I don't know, because I think it would be funny if someone was like, oh, well, Jack's being autistic again. Like, I think that's hilarious, honestly. So I don't know why I thought people could be mean with it. I don't know even what would be motivating to have as an emote in the upper tiers. The meanest you could really get with it is someone autistic. It's just calling someone autistic, which in 2026 doesn't even really matter anymore. It looks a little awkward. I feel like I'd use it to denote feeling weird. Yeah. Well, you know, it's the autism creature. So he is feeling a little weird. They are feeling a little weird. It is feeling a little weird. Oh, should I do a TBH too? Cause I'm ADHD. I could do a Jack TBH. Or no, this is TBH. BTW. I could do a Jack BTW as well. That'd be funny. Cause I have extra slots cause I've removed a few emotes that I'm just like not happy with. Yes, please. Okay, wait, we need to educate Ham. Okay, wait, let me show you. Alright, these are the guys. These are the guys. I like this one better, where it's like... Wait, I should definitely make them flipped so they can look at each other. That's so cute. But, so, this is the... Oh, you can't even see it. My big fat head is in the way. Let me go over here for now. So, we've got... This is the... No. Shut up. This is the autism creature, also known as TBH. And this is the ADHD creature, also known as BTW. Or by the way. And they're besties. Is this hip with the kids? Yeah, this is hip with the kids. Yeah. This is definitely hip with the kids. And some people have added like different ones. Like, I don't know what this one is. I don't even... Oh, it's an anxiety creature and an OCD creature. Okay. This is hip with the 2000s kids. Yeah. I do like the anxiety creature too. He's cute. He's like a little giraffe guy. But, I think these two are the iconic ones that I could have as emotes, and they're good. Does I think the big question is does BTW have 2 legs or 4 legs? I like them. I like when they have 4 legs, I think, because then they're like the same. They're like the same but different. I identify with the anxiety creature. Same. Whoa, this is like a whole comic. That's cute. Anyways, this is my favorite this is my favorite image ever of them. Alright, we'll go to this. Is this muted? Why can't I hear the music anymore? Wait, that's so weird. Why can't I hear? Why can't I hear the music anymore? We do have a Yippee sound redeem. I could get it to do confetti, I think. Why can't I hear? Okay, hang on. Yippee! I could probably get it to do confetti. I don't know why. I can't hear the music anymore. And I didn't hear the yippee. And I can't hear. Did I break my audio somehow? Oh no! Did my Bluetooth just break? Like, what the heck is happening? Oh, I bet I know what happened. 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 Sometimes my headphones like to connect to my phone and then forget that my computer exists. So I just have to... There we go. Did it work? Yay! Okay, I can hear things again. Woo! Jack made a bet! Okay, wait, let me see if I can find... Let me see if I can get this confetti. This looks good. I don't know. Wow, that's low quality. I want like a good confetti burst. That I don't have to like pay for. You know? Like the Yippee meme. You know, it's on like a black background. Lego Batman's advice have always been on black is treating me well. That's funny. Yippee. 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 I'm gonna... Let's see. YouTube. Yippee! Yippee! Yeah. Yippee! Echolalia! What? Oh. YouTube video started autoplaying. This shit sucks. Okay, can I have this, please? Thank you. Download. I want this in here. Put it here. Okay. Now I need to figure out. I need to figure out how to. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll figure it out. When I get my Live 2D subscription back, I want to add a bunch of toggles to this model. Like, I want to have a drawing tablet toggle. So that when I'm drawing, like, it has mouse tracking and stuff. Because I see a lot of people have that, and it's so cool. I want to have that too. Yeah, I also want to have. Some of my old models had a way to track controllers too. I want to do that again. It's a pain in the ass, but it looks really good. I want to do that. I feel like if I make it flesh colored, it's gonna be like really naked, so maybe I shouldn't do that actually. Alright, my little bow. And then get that a little color, and then we'll do the hair, which is easy peasy. Okay. Nope. Alright, that's good. I need to do like a little. There we go. Alright, creature. The hair gave me the most trouble of anything when I was attempting the fan art, actually. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at me calling it easy and then you immediately being like, no, it's not. It's something I've drawn 1,000 times, so of course. My damn software and its inability to do gradients well, it totally isn't a skill issue at all. What program are you using? Maybe we can figure out a way to make it a little easier. Creature. Okay. Oh, Photopia. Photopia should have a gradient tool, right? Because it's supposed to be mimicking Photoshop. Yeah, it has a gradient tool. So you should be able to make a layer for the hair and fill it in just the blue. Nah, this is just like every gradient tool, dude. um so what you do is you take you make a layer, color it just solid blue, you make a new layer on top of that, clip it to the blue hair layer, and then do the gradient on top. And it should work that way. You may need to do a few separate layers, like with the ahoge, but I think you can make that work. You gotta practice a little bit, but I think you got this. And that way you unlock a new skill. Have you considered crayons? I have. I love crayons. Creature emote. Alright, creature's now in tier 1. My technically inept ass has been using smudge and blur tools. Blur tools are fine. What I do is I have this brush that I really like that's like a rectangle, and it has a good like line weight thing. So when I'm using my pen, I don't know if you have a pen or if you're doing it with mouse, but when I use my pen, I just kind of flick, and that does it for me, basically. See, like, it's like really solid, and then I flick. And that kind of helps create the gradient, but it's a lot of practice. Crayons are actually really good. And also make for a tasty snack. Yes, very tasty snack. I don't want to do the bonk yet. I don't know if I want to keep this one. I haven't decided, because it's really similar to the other one. I don't know. I know we're keeping head pat, so let's do that one next. I was on the wrong layer. Drawing on the wrong layer. Who am I? Is music just like not playing? What is happening today? That's so weird. Alright, whatever. I kind of want a pen, but at the same time, I don't know if I really want to get into art as a permanent thing. It's fun and all, but I'm primarily learning it for concept art for my game. Okay, but here's the thing. For concept art, like, even for concept art, you need to, like, you'll want to level up that skill. Here, let me see what the cheapest one on XP Pen is. So, like, if you wanted... If you wanted a basic drawing tablet, right? My favorite brand for drawing tablets is XP Pen. And they have a few different drawing tablets, and then they have their display tablets. Let's see, they have their Star series. Where can I just like... Let me go on Amazon. I think that's a better way to... Not that I like Amazon, but it's a better way for me to see... It's a better way for me to see their actual prices. So... Not that these are not expensive, but for what they are, XP Pen is the cheapest. So they have their Star series, which they say is for beginners. And their cheapest one is on sale right now for $27, but normally it's about $39. I don't know what currency you use, so you'll have to convert that yourself from US dollars. But it's small, right? And you have to get used to drawing down on your desk while looking up at a monitor. But you already do that with a mouse, so it's probably a good, you know, like entrance, right? They have these like portable display tablets as well, which are their like smaller ones. And the price does go up a good amount on these because they have a screen in them. But their cheapest one there looks like it's about $240 normally. That's not too bad. Off the top of my head, that's like 30 GBP. Yeah. So if you wanted one with a display, they're more expensive. Every artist that I know who started with digital art started with just a basic drawing tablet, probably like the, you know, $30-ish one. And no, I didn't want to add that to my cart. Especially because it's my dad's account. So you can find some cheap ones. XP Pen is a great brand. That's what I use. Not a sponsor. I wish they were. Wow, you guys are using fancy pens. No, I'm recommending fancy pens. I get them for like $5 from Muji. Yeah, how long does that last? What does the pressure feel like? Like the pressure sensitivity. I'm just saying this is the brand that I know and that is reliable. I've used their drawing tablets, I've used their graphics tablets, and they're fantastic, all of them. Muji pens are actually banging. Oh, cool. Great. These are ink pens? Ah, I see. You're talking about real pens. Got it. I understand. Maybe. But yeah. So, I would check out XP Pen. Cheaper than Wacom and definitely comparable. Howdy there, flower boy. I know someone who uses a drawing tablet and they have complaints about durability of the plastic tip. They go through a few in a week. Do they have a screen tablet or do they have a drawing tablet? Does it have a display? Does it have a screen? Because if it has a screen and they put a screen protector on it and that screen protector is matte, that screen protector's gonna suck. What are y'all working on? I'm making some emotes for my stream. And we're talking about drawing tablets and what I'm using and what I recommend. So yeah, I wish I could get a friggin', if I could get an XP pen sponsor, that's like one of the sponsors I would take. Cause I don't like, I know eventually I might need to like take sponsors just because I need them, but I don't want to be dishonest, you know? I hate being dishonest. Why won't this line do what I want it to do? Can I flip this? My art doesn't use drawing tablets, but my little sister just got one, so I'm making her do my bidding. Yeah, that sounds like siblings. Penny, my sister Penny, is always trying to get me to draw stuff for her, and I'm like, you know how to draw it yourself. And she's like, but you draw better than me, and I'm like, yeah, there's a reason for that. My poor little sister has to draw so many of my D&D characters. Oh yeah, Penny has been drawing her own D&D characters recently, and I'm very proud of her. Why can't I get this line to look right? All right, that's fine. Whatever. I'm done. But yeah, I'm very proud of Penny for drawing her own D&D characters lately. There have been times where I think she's gotten frustrated with me because she'll be like, Jack, I need you to draw this character for me, and then I just don't. And I'm like, sure, in between my other like projects that I'm doing. And she's like, but I need you to draw this thing, and I'm like, you know how to draw. Do it yourself. Your D&D characters are insane, Jack, and all of them have such good boots. Thank you. You can thank Pinterest. You can thank Pinterest for my good boots. But yeah, I love a good boot. This stage of drawing myself is so funny because I look so bald. I'm so bald. I recently bought a D&D booster class and race book, and now I have Grung and the Gunslinger class. That sounds like a good it's a good like children's book, you know? Grung and the Gunslinger class. I don't buy stuff for D&D. I just get it from the internet, like 5e tools or whatever. I would buy like indie stuff, but I'm not gonna buy from Wizards anymore. They've annoyed me. Fate that one day when you have your subscription back that you will have a bald redeem. Oh no, I won't have one bald. I won't have a bald redeem. I will have 2 bald redeems. Do you want to just yoink the top of my head, or do you want to yoink everything? It'll be up to you. God, being bald wasn't fun when I did it. Well, it depends on It depends on whether, you know, it's really like a choice or not. My sister Moxie, she looked great bald. She did a buzz cut for a while. She looked awesome. I feel like I'm too emotionally attached to my floof, my top hair. Huh. The chat's not showing. Is that just me? The chat's not showing, I was intoxicated to soda. We should get Blake to do a bald routine. Blake's not a VTuber! You'll never get them to do that. You will never get them to do that. Anyways, the chat ain't chatting. The chat wasn't showing the new emote, it was showing the old emote, which was bad. And I knew it was bad at the time, and I still did it. What's y'all's top 3 classes in D&D? Ranger, Paladin, Artificer. Ooh, they all got multi-class into Fighter. Nice. That's a good question. Love me a Druid. Do a lot of Druids. Probably Druid, Cleric, and Wild Mage Sorcerer. I think mine is Monk, Druid, Gunslinger. Nice. Those are good. Those are good choices. But my current... Wait, let me show them off. Let me show them off. Let me show off... Let me show off Fern. Here we go. So this is Fern's Toy House page. She is a wild magic sorcerer. And I love her so much. She's chronically ill like me. She's just like me for real, for real. But the fun thing about Fern is that in her campaign we go to different like we've been going to different time periods. So we have like Cowboy Fern and Pirate Fern and 80s Fern. I love her so much. She's so fun to play. I can't wait to see where we go next. But yeah, I'm very much enjoying Wild Magic Sorcerer because it's so chaotic. Man, fitting the Ahoge in emotes is really difficult sometimes. Tech support just came home. He's sick, so I'm on nursing duty. Oh no! I hope tech support gets better soon. Honestly, I kind of like this hand, so I'm just gonna. The one time I played Wild Mage Sorcerer, my DM tried to turn me into a cactus. Decided to turn me into a cactus. That's so funny. I missed D&D this week. I'm a little bummed out, but it's valid reason, so yeah. I haven't been playing very much. I have my game today. I have one game on Thursdays and one game on Tuesdays, but I'm probably not gonna play in our Tuesday game anymore because I'm gonna be really tired from school. So also, it's just not my vibe. The game that is being run on Tuesdays is kind of like, I don't know. It's just not really my vibe. Emotes. Why is... Do I need to like reset stream elements? Why is it showing the old memes? Or emotes, whatever. Yeah, see, that's the old one. Maybe if I... If I do that. No, it's not. I don't understand. This is why... I think I need my dad to... Maybe I'll get my dad to help me with making a new chat overlay, because I'm so annoyed. It's not showing my new emotes, it's showing the old emotes. And I don't know why. It will make us less annoying. You guys aren't annoying.
This group is full of weirdos.
Why is that so quiet? Weirdos, you say? Alright, I'm trying to fix this thing. Mix it up doesn't seem to be working either, so that's cool. I don't have time to be learning CSS right now, honestly. Giovanni! Alright. It's fine. We're gonna just ignore it, and if we ignore it, it's not. It doesn't. It's, if we ignore it, it's not real. No. Even I don't know what I said. Wormies! I don't know. Sometimes I look at chat and I'm just disappointed. Don't be disappointed, be proud that they made such a devious comment. Jack's talking about you here. Don't encourage them. I know the boos are for me. There's no chat boo option. It's fine. We should probably have some kind of chat shaming. I don't know how I would do that. Jack please be made aware that my next redeem is aimed not at you, but at him. That's fine. I'm just over here taking the beatings.
Silence now, creature.
Instead of the person who really needs them. Silence now, creature. I didn't hear that one. I think I couldn't hear it over my laughing. I don't know. I don't want to make them too much louder than, like, my voice. But maybe I need to turn up my voice a bit more. Hey, chat, I could do a front flip. Can Jack do a front flip? I could do a flip. I can do a flip. Wait, watch. How do I... Ta-da! I just can cry. You can leg press 807 pounds? I don't believe that. I truly... That's crazy. That's insane. No, I can't do that. I'm heavily disabled. I couldn't do that if I tried. Oh, even just even just laughing that much has made my chest hurt. It's autism strength, got that tism in me. Let's fucking go. Can we get a yippee? Like Pixar did heaven. Wait, how old are you? Ham's like, wait, I don't want to be a predator. Yippee! Yippee! Thank you, Luke. Oh, hey, we're the same age about. You're like a year younger than me, kind of. Because my birthday's in October, so. But I'm currently 23. That's neat. Little young but not illegal leg pics. So you were born in 2001 then? Damn, old ass over here. Yeah, most of my chat is older than me. Poor him. 2003. Yeah, I went the other way. Sorry. Numbers are not my strong suit. 2002, and then a year younger, and then yeah, whatever. I did the math in the wrong direction. Kenja being bullied for my age. How do you handle it? Oh yeah, Luke is baby. I was born in 2009. I graduated high school in 2003. I love that we have such an like eclectic group, you know? Like there's really, you know, we have people of all types. Hey, thank you for the follow. Stab me, I've been stabbed. I've been stabbed. Does that one up anyone? I've never been stabbed by someone else. I've stabbed. No, that's not true either. I've never been stabbed maliciously. What a brain. Well, cause like I poke myself with pins all the time because I sew. So, like, does that count as stabbing? What about like a vaccine? Does that count as stabbing? Have any of you ever been kicked by a ranked Muay Thai fighter and broken your orbital and been knocked out? Jesus Christ. Does that count? I've been hella stabbed. Jack, you need to tell us the story now. What story? There was no story. There's no story. Needles and poking doesn't count. Okay, then I've never been stabbed. You hit yourself with an angle grinder? Dang. I have lots of ink. I wouldn't say I've been stabbed. I would. You've definitely been stabbed. What about piercings? Do piercings count? When I got my ears pierced, I came upstairs to like tell my mom that I'm home, right? And I come upstairs and I forgot that she was working, so I just came upstairs and I shouted, "I've been stabbed!" And she like was on the phone at the time. And she was like, "Jack, what the fuck?" I was like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry." She's like doing an important work call. I had 11 piercings and 9 tattoos. Nice. I probably won't get any more piercings. I'm terrified of needles, and my earlobes are not healing. Like, it's been nearly a year now since I got them pierced, and like they're still not fully healed, so yeah. It's fine. Like, they're healed enough that I could swap them out, but I probably have EDS, so they're like just not healing well. And like, if I take out my piercings, then like they kind of like swell up, and then it's really hard to get them back in. So I like need a second person to do that. I forgot to give my model earrings. My old model had earrings. I could slap some on at some point. Here we go. Alright, that's a good... That's good. Head pat. I think I would quite like to have a couple of tattoos. I have 3 in mind, but too much of a wuss to get it done. I'm so annoyed at my chat box right now. The fact that it's not showing my new emotes on stream is so annoying to me. Cause I worked hard to make these so much better than the old ones. I have mostly anime tattoos. Nice. What? What happened? I must have pressed something. I don't even know what I did. I was half expecting you to say you were annoyed by how cool and inked your chat is. No. I'm not annoyed at you guys for being inked. That's cool. I would never. Alright, this one's pretty good, so I'm gonna copy this one pretty directly. It could be that you were jealous of us. We're simply goated. Alright. However you want to feel better about yourself, chat, I am happy to facilitate. Are you 6'4"? No. I'm 5 foot nothing. On an Elden Ring rune on my left forearm, a white nightshade on the back of my left shoulder, and that little trampoline guy thing on my palm. Palm tattoos? I've heard that palm tattoos hurt a lot and then they don't last very long, so I don't know. I wouldn't want a palm tattoo, but you know, have fun. Only tattoo I ever cried on was my spine. Ooh, your spine. Yeah, that sounds like it would hurt. Ugh. Sounds awful. There's so much movement in the hands. Hand tats sadly fade quickly. Back of my calf was also pretty bad. Whiteness. Sailor Moon looks fucking fly on the back of my calf. Ooh, nice. I'm kind of a Sailor Moon hater. I have watched the first episode of Sailor Moon so many times, and I just like can't get over how whiny she is. She's so whiny. I'm like, girl, please. Like, if Cardcaptor Sakura can accept that, like, she needs to save the fucking world and, like, not even really whine about it once. And Usagi's older than her, so let's be real. Sakura is the superior magical girl. I'm gonna start so much discourse right now. I'm just waiting for the pitchforks. Ooh, cool. I don't know how that happened. If y'all have a Discord, I can share. The Discord is not mine to promote or share, so if you want to check out Black Boots streams, let me do the shout out thing. If you want to go follow Black Boot, they have a wonderful Discord, but it is not mine to share. So that's the Discord we all hang out in. I'm not very well versed in the realm of magical girls, so I'll be refraining from this topic. I just know that, like, the Sailor Moon fans are gonna come get my ass. It's fine. I understand. We have... This is... it's an ad. Sick. There's no food in my house. Robots? There's robot suits in Sailor Moon? Oh no, Bubblegum Crisis. Oh, okay. What are we at? Oh, we're making really good time. I should probably do this one. Sneezing all over the place today. That's pretty good. I think I used the... I didn't do it this way. I did it like this, I think. Yeah, I think that's better. Alright, cool. A what? I don't think I know what that is. But probably not. Oh, vehicle. Yeah, probably not. The only thing I think you should really be buying off of AliExpress or Alibaba is electronics. Like, electronics are pretty good. Like, electronic parts, not like fully built electronics. But like, my dad gets like stuff from there all the time for electronics stuff. Wires and stuff. My dad keeps trying to train me to say cable instead of charger. Because every time I'm like, hey dad, I need a new phone charger, he's like, you mean cable? Because the charger's the thing that plugs into the wall. I'm like, dad, you know what I mean. Any simple component. A forge? I would not be getting a forge off Alibaba. Chargers have cables. Well, but like, so like you have the like wall wart thing that plugs into the wall. And apparently that's the charger, not the cable. I don't know. Why does this look so ass? I don't like it. Why? I was doing so well, what happened? Do you mean the AC adapter, Dad? No, I don't want to get into that argument with him because I know he's right. Because he'd be like, no, and this is exactly why it's not. And he'd be right, and it would be annoying. I don't get into arguments with my dad on electronics. I'll tell him he's being pedantic, but like... He'll be stealing food. He'll be so proud of you. Yeah, because my phone charger is dying. Or I guess my phone cable is dying. Whatever. I'm using Penny's because she left it in my room today. Oh, you mean leaf water? Yeah, leaf water. But like everyone knows what I mean when I say phone charger. Like nobody thinks it's the... Nobody's gonna think I mean the little box when I say phone charger. Except him. Because he's a nerd! One of these days, I'm gonna get caught talking shit about him on stream. He's gonna come into my stream and he's gonna be like, Jack, you talking shit? And I'll be like, yeah. Yeah, I am. What you gonna do about it? He'll talk shit right back. That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna embarrass me in front of my chat, man. I embarrass myself plenty. You can't say it. You can't charge your phone without a cable. The two are synonymous. Yes, exactly. It's the thing that charges your phone. It's a charger. Father, I'm referring to my phone cable as the charger, as that is the colloquial term commonly used among the common folk. Please, Father, I wish to be aligned with my comrades. And then he'll learn pedantries and cool, he needs to chill. I'm sure he thinks it's funny. Or maybe he's just autistic and this is his special interest. He's got that yippee-tism, you know? Exactly. I do love being a pedant, but it's important to know when you're being a pedant. Yeah, exactly. It screams special interest to me as well. Yeah, exactly. Well, I had to get it from somewhere, and I'm pretty sure I got it from both sides. If we're being truly honest. The call is coming from inside the house. Both houses, to be exact. I totally inherited my neurodivergence from my dad too. I definitely got it from both sides. My dad is ADHD, probably ADHD, and my mom is definitely autistic. My dad's definitely more ADHD than he is autistic, but I think he's got a touch of the tism. You know, just like a little touch of the tism, a little kiss. Mwah. I got some good quotes this stream. about your art process? Absolutely you can. Please, ask away. I have a hard time explaining things without questions, so if you guys want to know something about my art, like, please ask. It's all secret! No! You may not have my secrets! Yeah, no, please ask. Live streamed top secret. Because I don't really think about my process unless I'm doing, unless like I'm thinking about it, you know, I just kind of do it. Do you prefer the hand-drawn line variation for your outlines? Yes. I do. I like when it looks like a human has drawn it. I try to get it looking nice. Truth be told, I don't like doing line art at all. I really don't like doing line art. So, cause it hurts my hands. The outline is cool and all, but it is very mechanical. The outline tool is cool, but it's very mechanical. Yeah, I don't mess with line tools or stabilizers. It's like, yeah, you could. But why? Alright, let's see if I can get this to work. Yeah, that works. I personally like stabilizers, but I have to fine-tune it to a level that feels natural to me. Yeah, I think they can work for some art styles. But I prefer just doing it on my own. Thank you. I'm just, you know, I'm just having fun. I always enjoy like watching other artists work. because it's always interesting to see where their brain goes when making art. Like, how would I make this thing, and then how does this artist make like the same thing, right? I think we can learn a lot from other artists. Yeah. I've always felt that mimicry is one of the most useful tools in your artistic toolbox. Yeah, a lot of people talk about like tracing being really bad, and like you shouldn't trace another artist's work, of course, and then, you know, pass it off as your own. But I do think tracing like reference images, like real people, models, or even other artists' work just as practice is perfectly fine. I also think that a lot of artists now think that they need to post every piece of art that they make, and that's just not true. Like, make stuff for yourself. Absolutely make stuff for yourself. All right, that's looking really good. I really like that. File, save as. If you can mimic, you can play around with blending styles and discover your own. Yeah, exactly. This is super cute. Do we like it faster, or do we want to go back to it being slower? Like, do we like it like this, or... Okay. Do we like it like this, or do we like it like the faster version? I think I like the faster version. I think it's better that way. Export as GIF. I find fast emotes look kind of distracting in chat. Like something is vibrating in there. So is this too fast? I can make it the slower version. Because that's what I had before. But then I noticed that like other people's laughing emotes are faster. Ultimately up to you, just my opinion. No, I appreciate the feedback. You are the main person using my emotes, so... Alright, let's... Yeah, it's mostly you. Would y'all rather be the size of a whale? Sorry, I can't read. Would you rather be the size of a whale with the intellect of Stephen Hawking or a bear with the intellect of Einstein? Those are two very smart people. So it's just, would you rather be a smart whale or a smart bear? I think I'd rather be a... Whales don't have to worry about anything, so I kind of like being a whale. Just like... Boo. Boo. Berenstein Bear. Whales have many concerns. Do they? I feel like they just vibe. They're just like, they're very like chill. So it's just yachts to destroy. True. Also, you'd have to really enjoy being in the ocean. I like water. I don't necessarily like the ocean. But if I was a whale, I wouldn't have to worry about waves. Eat a shit ton and sleep for 6 months? Hell yeah. Well, okay, hibernation is not sleeping. This is a common misconception. Hibernation is not sleeping. It's just not using a lot of energy for 6 months. Whale is a lot of open ocean. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would be fine being either. My dad is so bear-coded. It's really funny. He's like very chill. What? He's like very chill, and then every once in a while I'll look up and he's like scratching his back on a wall. It's really funny. What? What did I say? What did I say? Please don't ruin my fantasy. Oh, that, yeah, you know, I'm sorry. Kenj wants to sleep for 6 months. I don't think that's physically possible. He's a tired old man. Fair. I want to have the Kenj sleep. You can... I crave it. I mean, nothing's stopping you, I guess. Alright, what am I doing next? Someone hasn't heard of a medically induced coma. I don't think that's... Is that really sleeping, though? I don't know. I feel like there's so many different types of coma. Like, you don't know if you're really gonna be sleeping. What other emotes do you guys want? Because I'm not sure, like, what to do. I have 3 open slots. I have 2 tier 1 and I have a tier 2. And I don't want to animate the bonk right now. You still have room? Yeah. I would do yes. I don't have a animated. And I don't know how to do that without animating. I have 2 tier 1 regular slots and I have a tier 1, or I have a tier 2. I have 1 tier 2. I don't know how to I don't know how to draw that. Disgust? Oh, disgust is good. I could do that. Black has such a good disgust though. Like, Black has such a good disgust. And we share most of our audience. I don't know if I could do it justice. I could try. Oh, I could do like a... Yeah. I could do like a... What is a... Could do like a what the fuck? Ennui? I don't know, what does that even mean? Ugh, whatever. What, like, No, that's wrong. Pondering with a cigarette. I feel like this is not my vibe though. The face is a vibe though. The face is a vibe, but like, let's see, if I was gonna do like a what the fuck? It's a good option. Bomb face, but where we make skeevy jokes. Well, that's what the bonk is for. This is what I have for bonk. This is my, like, sketch. An acorn emote? Why? Yeah, I think you're right, Ham. This is a trap! Disappointment. What does that look? What's that like? I also don't want that in our chat history. That's fair. Alright, we've got disappointed, we've got sick. I like this one, I think. Very good. it uses this one, so I'm gonna remove this one. I'm gonna move it to tier 2. I'm moving cheer to tier 2 because I don't think it really gets used. And then I have 3, and then I can move. I'll move shrimp. I'll move shrimp to follower. And then with the 3 open slots that I have, I can put the Nexus, Evander, and Vess emotes that I have. And I'll do those 3. I should make one for Mehua as well. If I'm gonna do that, though. Maybe... maybe a creature goes to tier 2. And then I'll make a... let me find it. Hi, Animort! Let's do this. So now all of our Baldur's Gate guys are in there now. I think that's good. I feel like this one needs to be done in live 2D instead of... I'm gonna take a quick break. I will be right back. Okay. Let's... I wanna do this. Um... Let's do this a different way. Do I want to do it that way? Or do I want to... Do we want the Baldur's Gate characters in the follows? Or do we want the, like, head pat and the dice in the follows? I feel like the dice have to be in the follows. I feel like that makes the most sense. What hand? I think we'll put the Baldur's Gate characters in tier 1. Yeah, it's bonk. And then we'll put the shrimp. And then we'll put these guys. There. Okay. Yeah, it's good enough for now. I'll add rage in when when we get a new slot for it. So if you want the rage emote, you gotta get we gotta get 20 up. We have 6 out of 20 subs, so that's 14 more subs in some amount of time. Big spender. Yeah. It's a lot. Like, actually, I feel like we're gonna be with this amount of emotes for a while. I have no idea when it resets either. Because I think at some point it does, but I don't know how long it takes. Like, it doesn't say anything about that. How do we get more rich viewers? I don't know. I could put rage in the bits tier. For now. We'll put rage here. So if you give 1k bits, you get rage. But that's a lot. That's a lot of money. Like, actively a lot of money. I would spend bits for rage. You would not spend 1,000 bits for rage. I guarantee that's not gonna happen. But it's there if someone does. Because nobody wants the... How long does it unlock? I don't know. Here, let me look. Let me look. $10 per use. What's up, hot dog suit? How long do bit emotes unlock? You keep the bit emote when you cheer the required amount of bits, regardless of your subscription status. But I don't know if it's permanent. I think it's indefinite. I think you keep it forever. I think, yeah, it's 1,000 bits, and I think you keep it forever. And then there's also a 5,000 bits one and a 10,000 bits one, but I don't have anything on there right now because who is gonna do that? So I think you just keep it. $10 for Perma Rage isn't too bad. Maybe I should put it in one of the higher tiers. I wonder if that's cumulative. I don't think it is. I think you have to do it all at once. I actually haven't checked. I haven't checked my earnings in a little while. I got 20 bucks. Almost. 1977. I don't get to pay it out until 50 though. $50. But it's pretty good. Chat is too chill. Yeah. You know. I'm too chill. Well, that's why it's in the bits tier instead of like the sub tier, because I feel like there's more appropriate, like, emotes for me to have. I got tired of drawing, that's why I'm not drawing. Chat is raging all the time. I'm raging about this freaking chat box not working. I'm so upset about it, actually. And I don't know how to fix it. Like, does no one... Has no one had this problem before where they updated their emotes and then... Can I, like, clear cache, maybe? If I go... Refresh cache. No, it's still doing it. Dang it! reset. See ya, hot dog suit. Thanks for the 100 bits. Why? Notes. Yeah. Like if I duplicate this. Can I get this to work, please? No! It's wrong! It's wrong! No! This is like actually making me so upset. I don't care about the stupid 7TV or whatever emotes. I don't care. My emotes are not showing. My emotes are not working. I have so many of these. Shouldn't. I'm just trying to figure this out right now. Sorry if that's like super boring. I don't understand why it's not working, and now my brain has like grabbed it, you know? want a chat box. I want to put chat in a little box. I will keep you in a little box, and I will give each of you a little kiss on the forehead. Nah, you are very small. Very small chat. Small chat. In box. Those boxes are so tiny. Why does it sound like Kench has PTSD from being put in a box? What is happening? Jack's losing their mind. That's what's happening. Feel like... bonk. Feel bonk. Help? Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. My chat box is broken. Oh, is it your birthday, Dan? Happy birthday! Oh, I missed that. How's your birthday going so far? No, I'm not talking to you. Sorry, my phone thought I was talking to her. Really good? Yay! I'm so glad. I'm currently trying to figure out why my chat box is not showing my new emotes. It's instead showing the old emotes, and there's no answer for it online. And it's really annoying. Got to have breakfast and spend time with the girlfriend, which feels like such a rare and valuable commodity these days. Aww, that's so nice. Does Twitch do chat box? Twitch does not do in-house chat box. Watched the new Tron, and I feel confident all of the negativity was anti-woke neckbeards. It was really good. Lol didn't like it. I don't know anything about this movie you guys are talking about, so I'll let you guys talk about it. I feel like Ham just has a grudge. I haven't seen the movie. You could be completely right. Ham's just jealous of Jared Leto. Ham, in fact... Ham, in fact, loves him very much and is jealous of his success. Sorry, I'm being a little shit on purpose. Is he? I don't know. I legitimately don't know. Jared is a piece of shit. I'm lashing out because I'm mad at my chat box. Sorry. What did he do? Just out of curiosity. He's basically a cult leader? Ew. Icky. Oh, right! That was him? I'm really bad with names. But I did hear about that. He wanted to method act, I don't know that word. Yeah, he was being method. Yeah, I heard about that. Okay, I didn't realize that was him. I couldn't remember the name, but I did hear about that. People were like, no, dude. Yeah, literally, like, why would you, what the fuck is wrong with you? Ah, okay. There's a lot of really cute, like, chat widgets out there, and I just wish that I knew how to make it work. Like how do I do this myself? It has to be possible. And I think once I figure it out once, it'll be fine. Like, I'll be able to do it. But like, for now, it's just like a mystery. It's like complete, like there's so many people who are making these chat widgets, right? But then there's no tutorials. And it feels like when VTubers first started and like there were no tutorials for making VTubers. Like, I bet I could make one in Unity, right? Like, ah! You have a screen grab for now? Yeah. Stream Elements widgets use HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Well, because you have to use like 3 coding languages for it. I'm gonna text my dad. I bet my dad can help me. We went to there's a computer, sort of like a computer museum near us. It's not really near us, but it's like in between places, right? So it's a little drive. Anyways, there's a computer museum, and they have this wall that's like all of the like coding languages that have existed, right? And my dad was going down the list, and he was like, coded in that, and I've coded in that, and I've dabbled in that, and I've tried that one, and that code, that, you know, that language is shit. And it was so funny, because he's basically done everything, right? And he's just like, I hate that programming language, that one is convoluted, like blah blah blah. He's like, that one's fine. And it was very funny. Yeah. He was just like, just going through all of the stuff that he's done. No, I don't want chatbot. I want chatbox. I feel like Google search has gotten worse. Bap, bap. This is a friggin' speed run. I don't need a speed run. I just want a chat box. I mixed up, I started cleaning my room yesterday, and I feel like it kicked up a bunch of dust because I keep sneezing a lot. I don't know. I think I need to look up a tutorial later and just make it from scratch by myself. Because this is not working. Nintendo has put out... Wait, look at this. Nintendo has put out this freaking talking flower from Wonder. Wow. You can set a bedtime? Who's putting this in their house? No! It's not. It's not. It's really... It's... It just talks. It just talks like once every 2 hours. Or if you press the button. But it has like an alarm function? What is this? What is it? Yeah, kind of like a Furby. It has a... What? He can talk different languages. I mean, that makes sense. Who is buying this? Who is this for? Is this for like the unbelievably lonely? Like, who is Nintendo targeting with these latest products, right? This is not for children. They don't care about like this kind of thing. Like, this doesn't seem like it's for kids. Alarmo didn't seem like it was for kids. The freaking Nintendo alarm, that didn't seem like it was for kids. Who are they targeting? What is happening? What? Who is this for? 3 a.m. I wonder what you taste like. You know how rabid some Disney fans I feel like there's a similar level of Nintendo fans this is geared towards. Oh, maybe. If he says 10 a.m. when it's only 9 a.m. and I get freaked out thinking I'm late, I'm chucking this thing across the room. That implies that you're buying it. Someone's gonna buy one of these and they'll have a family member or roommate who's never heard of the character that get freaked out when they just hear a random voice speak while they're alone in the house. What is it? Huh? Who is it for? Who is it for? Anyways. I don't know what that means, so... I feel like never change track. I wish I didn't know. I don't understand. Oh, it's a creepy incel thing? Okay. I mean, I should have known, but you know. I'm so tired. And I have my first class today and I'm so anxious. I like don't want to go. I don't want to go, but also like I know that it'll be good for me. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so I have so many feelings. I have so many feelings and I don't know. Bleh. Bleh. That's how I'm feeling. Bleh. How do I be normal? I haven't been out in the world like with peers in so long. Like how and I don't know who's gonna be there or like what the I'm so nervous and stressed out. I recommend trying not to be normal. I don't know if I will be trying to do anything necessarily. I'm trying to hide in the back of the classroom and not be noticed, I think is the truth. I don't want to be noticed. I don't wanna. What do I do? I have to go. Ugh. I can sit here for like 5 more minutes, but then I have to go like get ready. Go for the middle of the classroom, otherwise you'll get noticed. Everybody instinctively looks to see who's hiding in the back. Why would you tell me this? I have a reserved seat. I don't know where it is, but I have a reserved seat. I'm actually kind of hoping it's near the door so I can just kind of sneak out. Just remember that no one is thinking about you as much as they're thinking about themselves. Yeah, I know. Reserved seat, fancy. Nah, not fancy, disabled. I get disability reservations. The one person That one person is definitely thinking about you the whole time, and you won't know who it is, but they're gonna be doing it, and it's gonna be a thing, and it's gonna happen. So here's your happy thought. Wow. Everyone's trying to be normal. They're too wrapped up in themselves. Yeah, I know. It's scary. It's really scary. That's just me. Oh, that's comforting, actually. It's just Ham. Ham's there, keeping an eye on me, making sure everything goes well. Thank you, Ham. Keeping me safe. Ham is pre-installed. Ham is pre-installed into the walls of your classroom as well. Yeah. Yeah, Ham's in the walls, keeping an eye on me. Yeah, Ham is pre-installed herself into the walls. Yeah. Your classmates will be asking why the walls smell like pork, but you tell them not to worry about it. I won't be telling them anything. I smell great, thank you very much. Well, yeah. Smells like pork chops. Mmm, yummy. Who doesn't like the smell of fresh ham? Me, actually. I don't like cured, like, smoky meat products. So I don't like bacon, and I don't like... Oh, you wanted fresh? Oh no. Oh no. Also, I love that when I do speech to text, the accuracy is just as bad as if I was using my fingers. Yeah, true. I don't want to go get ready for school. I'm fine with my routine, actually. I don't need to change. I don't need anything to change. I'll just stay like this forever, thanks. The first step into exciting things. Is that like how I decided I wasn't gonna age anymore? Yeah. Well, I'm never gonna age because I'm, you know, digital, so it's fine. Okay, it's time for me to go. Okay. I guess I have to. I guess I have to. I have to be ready in an hour. So I have to, like, get dressed and stuff. Yippee! Yippee! Thank you for the yippee. Alright, I'm going. I'll go. Kenj believes in me. Thank you, Kenj. I'll let you guys know how it goes on Monday. Okay. I'm gonna sneeze. I I believe in the jack of the cards. Alright, I'll see you guys on Monday. I'll let you know how it goes, how my class goes. I'll see you then.